Hey guys, Polkadot Insider is back with another AMA. Make sure you guys follow us on X, and we do have a YouTube channel, so you might want to check it out because we put tons of videos about projects on Polkadot there. Okay, joining our talk today, we have Alex and Ben. They are co-founder of Braille. So for Braille team, they aim to help improve the user experience of Polkadot ecosystem. So let's learn more about the importance of UI and UX with them. Hi Alex and Ben, it's great to have you guys.
Hey Pia,
Hey
thank
Pia.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Great. So before anything, could you guys please introduce yourself, and also we want to know about your background, how you got to Web3, or how you started Braille.
Yeah, so I will start myself and then I will let Benoit as well explain Braille. But so I started crypto in 2017, more like as a personal investment, right? And then didn't do much until the second bull run or the DeFi summer in 2020 happened. And that's where I really started to use Web3 and use my wallet, right? And that it's also at the time that I started working on a NFT platform, right? As the CPO. And so that was my first experience in crypto, because in the past I had other experience in project management and as well digital marketing. And so after this NFT experience, so it's around 2022, end of the bull market, I started looking for a job, and I found a job at Parity. So I started the beginning of 2023, and I was there a campaign manager. So I was leading the campaign for Decoded, for Sub-Zero, and I as well leaded the campaign on the dApps campaign or even the wallet campaign. So that all of this really helped me understand much better the ecosystem. And so now I'm working at Distractive, and I've also co-founded Braille. And so up to you now, Ben.
Yeah, on my end, so I started my journey as a Scrum Master first, learning about Agile methodology and so on, even if I was hating, being a Scrum Master, because there is not a lot of, it's really strict, I'd say, so I didn't like that at all. But I liked Agile methodology in general, so I switched to the product side, let's say, and I've become a product manager for around 2 or 3 years in the retail. So my duty was to create software that was helping companies like Google, Samsung, and so on in France to track all the implementation in retail. So that was my background in Web2 and retail. And then I wanted to make the big turn because I heard about the blockchain technology and crypto. In 2019, end of 2019, I helped a friend launch his project on Avalanche called Colony Labs. And I really liked it. So I said, okay, why not make the big turn myself and, join a project? And that's where I joined Parity as a program manager. I stayed there as a program manager for around 2.5 years. And after that, decentralization happened, and we co-founded Braille with Alex. And basically what is Braille is it's a Web3 UX UI agency. We created that because we were seeing there was a big need in the Polkadot ecosystem in general regarding that. And we decided with Alex to tackle that by creating this agency. We have UX UI designers, front-end engineers, UX researchers, and we provide services like audits or on-demand services like wireframing, or being able to help projects to iterate on their products.
Amazing. Thank you for your introduction. And I think it is actually very important to highlight that you guys are, had previous experience in Web2, which mean you have like a broader insight in UX and UI, and the whole experience for the end users, and you brought it to Web3. So since we're gonna talk a lot about UX and UI today. Before we taking further about what you guys are doing, let's have an overview on what's going on Polkadot. So we understand that UI it's about visual, right? And UX is about the whole experience for users. So I would love to hear you guys your thoughts on the UI and UX aspects of the projects, of all the projects in general on the Polkadot ecosystem. So like, for example, what are the goods and what are something that can be improved,
Yep, that's definitely a great question and a long one. So I will try to be as succinct as possible. So today in Polkadot, it's very hard for the user to understand that they are experiencing Polkadot, right? Because you could go to the stacking dashboard on Polkadot, which is on the relay chain, right? Or you could vote on OpenGov. That's an experience that you are doing on Polkadot. And I will say it's fairly similar. The colors are quite similar. But then if you go on another parachain, let's say hydration or even Bifrost, then that's where the visual, or what we call the interface, are totally different. And so the user, if they don't know, or if they didn't do any research, they will probably just like be lost because they don't know that the parachains, Bifrost, hydration, and Polkadot, and all of them are all linked together. So that's a bit of like one of the limits right now on what we are offering as an ecosystem, right? And so that's what we are trying to tackle here is like, okay, what is the experience we are offering as an ecosystem, right? And so we are mapping out like all of the different parachains, all of the different dApp, and even like the wallets. And we look at it with a high vision and we are like, well, definitely there is nothing linking back together, right? So the experience itself is very hard and very complex for a user that doesn't know, right? And I think like that's one of the biggest problems. It's what we call a fragmentation of experience. And then to just finish on the good bright side, I will say that today, the best experience that you can have on Polkadot are either with the wallets, the 3 wallets, sub-wallet, Talisman, and Nova. Those are really, really good experience. And as well, I will put the stacking and the governance platform where you can do really, like you can have a good experience, right? But then for the rest, it's very project by project. The experience, but if you combine it, let's say you are using your VDOT from Bifrost and you are putting them to hydration, the whole journey, you got to be a very advanced user to understand everything, and it will take you a lot of time. It's not as smooth at all. So yeah, that's a bit of a summary of like what's the current state of the ecosystem.
Okay, so thank you, Alex. Ben, do you want to add in anything else?
No, I think he summarized everything. As he said, Polkadot, when we talk about Polkadot UX, we're talking about the end user here. So we're not talking about developer experience. So it's really important here to make the difference. And that's why as an end user, jumping from a dApp to another, as Alex said, right, it's really important to have a kind of a similar experience. And by that, we mean that, for example, the technical jargon or something that is used, when you call about, I don't know, a transfer, or sometimes it's like cross-chain or whatever, like it's kind of hard to as a user to understand all these terms. So that's why it's really important to have a kind of a similar experience as an ecosystem.
Great. So I think that let's have like an official introduction about Braille, as well as what you guys are offering. Ben, you want to go first?
So do you mean as an agency? Because there's two things here. There is Braille as an agency, and there is what the initiative that we're trying to build with the community, right? So as I said earlier, Braille as an agency, we are providing UX UI services. So it's really classic, right? Like it's audits, it's wireframing, it's iterate with the projects on their products, and being, you know, the third eye that they need sometimes to have a bigger vision on their product and align with their business goals and so on. So that's really what us as Braille agency we're providing. But also what we are trying to tackle here as Braille, and that's one of the main activity that we're having right now, is that we're trying to build a bounty. But I guess maybe we're gonna get back to this later during this podcast. But yeah, that's the idea. Also, we are trying to build a bounty along the ecosystem and community. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this more after.
Alex, do you want to add in anything?
No, I think that what Ben said was pretty clear.
Okay, great. So I heard Alex mention the terms that is fragmented experience. So can you talk a little bit more about, you know, this problem and how Braille can actually give the solution to that?
Yeah. So I'm just going to specify that it's Braille, but amongst many other people, and especially the UX Guild that we've also created back in March. And so that's very important to understand that the UX problems that we are seeing right now in Polkadot, they are not just a very simple problem that one team could just tackle and resolve, right? There are problems that are complex and that are requiring a lot of expertise. What do I mean by this? I will give an example so it's easier to understand. For example, today you have different addresses depending on the parachain you are on, right? So that means you have a substrate address, you have a Polkadot relay chain address, and you will have a different one for Bifrost, etc., etc. That is something that not most of the users know about it, because most of the users will have an experience already on EVM chains where you have a unique address for all of the chains with the same exact address, right? And so that creates like some friction, and like it's hard for the user to understand why. And then like our goal as an ecosystem is to simplify their life, right? And so if we were going to tackle this problem, Braille alone will never be able to just say like, okay, from now on, we only have one address in Polkadot. No, like we will need to pass it through the fellowship, the core developers. We will as well need to coordinate with all of the relevant parties that might be impacted by this decision. So what I mean by this is like, those are very like structural change. And when you do structural change, you obviously need to work with a lot of people. And so that's why I was just correcting that Braille won't just alone change all of that. But to give another practical example, that one is a bit simpler. It's, for example, how today some user might lose some fund because they are sending their token back to a centralized exchange, right? And today, the way the centralized exchange are working with the parachains, it's very specific and it's very unique with the Polkadot architecture. But sometime, what we need to know is that sometime I'm a user, let's say I'm sending my Bifrost token, so my BNC token from Bifrost directly to Binance. If I'm not making sure that everything is right and even passing it through Asset Hub, I might lose my fund, right? And so that's, for example, this exact journey, we need to make sure that we are protecting the user, and by putting a preventive measure. And what do we mean by preventive measure? We could put like a checkbox whenever there is a user trying to do this type of transaction, or just even like a small message saying like, be sure that you are not sending it to a centralized exchange because it might result in fund. So it's not the perfect experience either, but it's already a start, and so that's what we are trying to do, is like, we are very far in terms of like good experience, like the overall experience is bad, and how do we make sure that in the next month and then the next year we are catching up on like a bit better experience and then a good experience.
Ben, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, maybe what we can add is that Braille as an entity can also bring a kind of a vision. What we really stand for in Braille is that good UX is simplest UX, meaning that, as a user, you are supposed to not be aware about the tech you're using. You are not supposed to be aware about whether you are here for a specific action when you're landing on a app or an application in general, and you don't want to bother about the tech or about having all the technical knowledge to do an action. And that's also what we're trying to push, is to how can we abstract the tech for people to be able to just interact and do the specific action they are here for. And that's also the vision we want to bring with the Bounty.
Okay, great. So I also learned that you guys are actually building like a library, like a design library. Is that correct?
So yeah, the idea of the design library, it's along the Bounty efforts. Basically, the idea is that we're gonna, as with the Bounty and the community, we're gonna tackle a lot of different issues and problems. And we want to ensure that everything that is being done, good practices, best practices, and the standards that are going to be built are centralized somewhere for everyone in the community and the ecosystem to access. So that's what we're going to call the design library, the common good design library. And the idea is really to put everything there.
Okay, so when we are referring to like a library, which means that there'll be like a standard set so that developers can actually use it. Is that?
Yes, it's everything. It's for developers. It's also for the projects in general. Whether you are you're trying to implement something that has been tackled by the Bounty. For example, what Alex said about the messaging for someone sending their funds. You'll have all the steps directly documented in the library, and also the technical part as well.
Do you think that if you have like a whole set made out like that already, so how do you actually let builders know that they can actually use it like as a standard design, and then they can actually improve it, or not improve it, but make it in their own way, but not like copying like the same with all projects if they use your library?
So it's going to be accessible for everyone, right? In the eco, it's going to be open source as well. So anyone within the eco or outside the eco can use it. And that's for them, right? Like they can take this from what they learn on the library. Again, this is something that we're going to push as a community, right? It's not only Braille that will populate the library. So anyone who also has an idea of a standard or whatever, they can reach out to the Bounty and say, okay, guys, I've got an idea on standards or best practices that should be added to the library. And the idea is really to be a common good library, right? It's not only be us that gonna maintain it.
I see. So with that being said, how do you define like a good UX, like a whole experience for the end users, right? Or what are the standards and the elements that you think that should be within a good UX?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, for us, good UX is seamless UX, meaning that, again, as by definition, UX is user experience, right? So it's what you're experiencing as a user. And I'm a user, I'm here to swap my token and send it to another chain. I don't need to understand all the technical jargon about, you know, XEM or everything that is about the tech itself. I'm just here to do an action, and I don't need to, you know, do my research, read the doc or whatever, right? So that's what we are, you know, what we need to that's what we're trying to push as well, is that as an end user, you're just here to do an action. So for us, a good UX is really about that. And regarding standards or good standards, it's really easy, right? Like for now, we don't have a lot of Web3 standards, to be honest. We have, you know, as it's a fresh tech still, it's getting adopted a bit more and more as we go, right? But, you know, just, you know, the connect button for a wallet is usually at the top right of your page. That's one of the standards. But if you zoom out and you take, you know, typical standards, for example, in social media, that Facebook has done, you know, with you have 3 columns. You have on the left, you have different sections. In front, you have in the middle, you have the feed, and on the right, you have adding your friends and so on. That's the type of standards that we should have in Web3 as well, and that it doesn't exist. We shouldn't reinvent the wheel every time as well. So that's why there are already some kind of, you know, standards that exist somewhere else. So when I'm saying somewhere else, outside Polkadot, that we can import in Polkadot. So yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
Alex, do you want to add in anything else?
No, I think Benoit pretty much covers it, and especially about the reinventing the wheel. Maybe I would just add like something about like how do you build standard, right? Because we've seen that feedback from some of the community members. We are not trying to create standards here and say like, look guys, this is the standard, but rather on like having an iteration approach of like, this is what we think is a good practice. And then it's only once that many teams are actually adopting those practices that then we will be able to call it a standard. Like again, like what Ben said is like today what we could consider a standard in Web3 is the way people are connecting their wallet. You know, it's like every single dApp in crypto have this button on the top right. So that's what you could consider a standard because everybody is adopting it. So that's just wanting to make a small point on that.
Yeah, standards are made just by adoption, right? So it like that's not Facebook who said the social media convention like standards would be like that, right? Like it's just because it works. So all the different social media that went after said, okay, that's working. That's what we're going to do, right? Same for TikTok, for example, with the videos and the interaction that you're having with the app, scrolling the videos to, you know, to see, you know, to have your content and see your content. So that's the exact idea, right? Like adoption makes the standards.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Okay, so I also heard you guys mention about the Polkadot UX bounty. So can you walk me through that and tell me more about it?
Yep. So we've published a bounty proposal like a few weeks ago. Referenda 819 for the people that are interested. And what does this bounty do, or like what is the goal, right? Is to, as I was saying earlier, tackle on those complex problems that we have in the ecosystem, for example, the unified address format, and ensuring that all of the initiative to make the UX better in the ecosystem are as well following a high-level strategy, right? Because like without a bounty, we could obviously do treasury proposal. Let's say like we are doing one treasury proposal to tackle this problem of unified address format. The thing with that, or the limit with this, is that we won't be able to connect all of the improvement together and make sure that the user journey in Polkadot, in the Polkadot ecosystem, is really well understood, right? Because if you do only one treasury by one treasury, the people that are going to take care of those proposal or that are going to execute the treasury proposal, right? They might not communicate that much. And so that's what we call siloed communication, right? And so then it will most likely, there will be most likely some errors or like some missing part of the user journey that we won't cover. And so that's why the UX Bounty is really perfect for that. It's because we are going to tackle in parallel multiple problems, but at the same time, the curators and the operator will make sure that all the problems at the end of the day, they are all linked together and that we are not missing one part that would break the whole journey. So that's really like the high level goal of the Bounty, right? And so I encourage people to read the proposal. There is a lot of details there. We are putting as well example. We just actually updated it this morning with all the feedbacks from the community. So, and we are pretty confident that what we are proposing right now is a solid plan to tackle the most urging UX issue that we have right now.
Ben, do you want to add anything else?
No, just wanted to put the emphasis on something is that, yes, the Bounty is out since around like 2 or 3 weeks, I don't remember, 15 days. But that's also something like we are waiting like for the community also to give us as many feedback as possible. Some community members give us good feedbacks and it allows us to also improve the proposal. And as Alex said, like we revamped the proposal this morning a bit after some comments that were really good. So yeah, that's the idea as well. Like this Bounty is an iteration, so we want this to evolve as we go. So yeah.
So how about the bounty curators? What are the criteria for you guys to choose the bounty curators?
So regarding the curators, so again, the genesis of this Bounty and this whole initiative. First, we started at Sub-Zero. We held a kind of a workshop to see if we had some traction about people interested in tackling, UX on Polkadot. And from that, we created the UX Guild. So we started with like 5 or 10 people, something like that. And as we were pushing through open calls, people talking to each other and so on, we grew a bit. Now we're like around 70 or 80 people in the UX Guild. And we were trying to see, okay, now is the time to do the Bounty. So we tried to ask as many people as possible in this UX Guild who would be up for it and who has the expertise as well, right? So we started to kind of reach out to the relevant teams that we were thinking that would fit for this curator Bounty. And yeah, that's how we ended up with the list of curator. Of course, we reached out to a few teams that were at capacity and couldn't, join us. So that's how we selected the Bounty curator for that. And afterwards, just want to add something. Well, that's one thing that we updated this morning, is that we are also seeking for a new curator because Braille will be the Bounty operator, meaning that we are going to coordinate the Bounty, but we are not going to curate it, meaning that we are not going to vote on who's going to, and vote on the budget and vote on who's going to tackle the issues. So there is 1 seat remaining for a team that would like to join us to be a curator.
Alex, do you want to add anything else?
No.
Okay, so how about the progress in getting the support from Polkadot, from getting the support for the UX Bounty team?
So that's a process that we are still kind of like figuring out, but for now, the process that we have is that we already cataloged some of the UX issue, right, in a backlog. So I could share it as well in the comment for people that are interested. But as well, like if you guys are joining the UX Guild, that's the UX backlog is, we are kind of like putting it everywhere. I would say that it's our source of truth, right, on like what are the issues we want to tackle on. So coming back to the process, if you guys are interested to work on those issues, well, I would recommend that you guys start reading the backlog, right, to get your head around like, okay, those are the things that people are starting to tackle. And then I will also say that you need to join the UX Guild and tell us about a bit more about your expertise and how you could help, because again, this is the very beginning of an initiative, right? So it's like we need as many people as we can, and there would be a lot of coordination energy, but we also need a lot of like knowledge, right, from the people, because us, Ben and I, we are more like on the project or product side, but we don't have any we don't have the technical knowledge as an engineer would have, right? So if any of you guys listening are interested by this, please join the UX Guild, have a look at the backlog, and the goal then with the bounty, when it will pass, is to start electing what we call executors. So executor, you could call them as well like the project owner. And so basically those executors, what they will do is like make sure that their project is progressing with the milestone that we will define, the creator, the operator, and the executor all together, right? And then making sure that, as I said before, like those issues are being tackled in parallel, because we can't just do one issue per one issue. I think we don't have that much time. Like the crypto space is a fast industry, so we need to tackle everything in parallel. And so yeah, we are pretty much like open for any person that wants to participate, but just be as well mindful that we will ask you for accountability, we will ask you for responsibility, because that's what it does. This bounty is like it helps incentivize, but as well really make people accountable, because what we have today without a bounty, we have literally just people that are keen to help, but they are not getting paid for that. So so in the exchange, if you get paid, we will expect from you result and accountability.
All right, so I think we covered much of the topics today. So one last thing I want to ask you guys is, of course, your upcoming plans, as well as the roadmaps for Braille and the Polkadot UX team. So please share with us.
Yeah, so it's really simple for us. We are really bounty focused right now, so we're trying to get this to the community as many as possible. So by doing that kind of podcast, or answering people on people's question on Telegram, or directly in the proposal. So the idea is to get this to the line with the big A. So that's our current roadmap. And if it passes, the idea is to have a launch in September. That's our hopes, right? Of this bounty. And yeah, that's the current roadmap.
Okay, so we got the time already, so hopefully everything's gonna go well. And any last shout out for you guys? Do you guys want to do any last shout out?
Yeah. So as we've been talking, right, is like referenda 819. It's actually in decision period. There is still about 10 to 12 days to vote. We need everybody's support, and most importantly, if you guys disagree with it, please put your feedback, because we are here and like that's what we are trying to do. We don't have all the answer right away, but our goal is really to iterate and make the best bounty proposal, right? And so everybody can agree with it, and there is a consensus for a better UX, because we just can't wait on like over people to chime in and do it for free. Like the UX bounty is the right solution to tackle those problems. And so yeah, I encourage everyone to read the proposal and most importantly, voice your opinion, please. Thank you.
So I hope everyone in the space today can see what they're doing, what the value they're giving to our community. So make sure that you guys also give them some feedbacks. And yeah, it's been great talking to you guys. I hope that in the future we can have more updates about you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
inviting us.
Thank you for coming today. So this is the end of our AMA. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Alex. We'll see you in the next AMA.
Thank you guys. Have a nice day.